Yeah, I think contextual has definitely had a renaissance. I think there has been a lot more discussion in the last year or two on contextual. I think a lot of that has been driven by, the deprecation of third-party cookies and a lot of the frenzy that's ensued in terms of identifying alternative audience data sources that are going to be able to still connect with relevant audience pools that are going to drive business for marketers. So contextual has really had a renaissance, and we're using more contextual data streams in order to inform strategy and decisioning. I think there's more of a balance now between, purchase-based data sets, that have been kind of preeminent in a lot of the planning that we've been doing as an agency. There's more of a balance now with contextual data sets, and some of the partners that are really, building out those assets are increasingly part of the conversation. And Havas, as well as other organizations, are building out our own capabilities in terms of contextual audience mapping and identifying data sets that can get us to audiences that are in content and context that's going to be most conducive to putting a brand message, and also most likely to be in market based on what they've been consuming from a content perspective, what they've been searching for. It's really about identifying audiences that are closest in from a market perspective, and how we can best put a message in front of them that's going to impact a behavior.
How is the form factor of the advertising messages themselves change? What are the expectations around that from consumers now in particular, and how are agencies responding in terms of the creative?
Yeah, I think the form factor and the format of the ads, particularly from a TV and video perspective, has finally caught up to what consumer expectation is, and what the market needs. I think for a long time we've talked about 30-second, in healthcare, often 60-second or longer ads. I think there's still a time and a place for that type of format for video advertising. But I think as we see the way consumer behavior is evolving, and the different platforms and the different technologies on which that video content is being consumed, it's not necessarily always conducive to a 30, 60, or long form video ad. So I think we're starting to see more of an embracement of shorter length units. I think we're starting to see more adaptation of creative so that it can be, relevant for the platform on which it's being delivered, and also that it's very relevant for the audiences that it's being targeted at. So, I think that aspect of the form, the length of ads, how they're being inserted in content is really evolving. I think it's interesting, over the last couple of months, as we've seen in the Olympics, for example, there were a lot more kind of interstitial, quick hit, short form ads that were inserted, not necessarily within a traditional commercial break. I think that there's going to be more of that, coming forward, not only in the linear TV platforms, but certainly in the CTV and other video platforms that are more consumer controlled and on demand.